Hi, and welcome to this episode of John's Model Kit Review. Today's build log video will be part 2 of the MiniArt P-47D 25RE Thunderbolt. This is the basic kit. It is MiniArt part number 48009. This kit has gotten a lot of good press lately. It's currently considered to be the definitive P-47D Thunderbolt kit on the market in 1/48 scale. In part 1 of the MiniArt P-47 build log, we covered steps 1 through 8 in the kit instructions, and that covers the kit interior, the tail wheel, and the fuselage assembly. You can view that video by clicking the link above. In this video, we'll be covering steps 9 through 14 of the kit instructions. Those cover the assembly of the kit engine and the lower forward air scoop. It also covers installing the rudder and intercooler outlet flaps. We'll actually skip over steps 15 through 17 in the kit instructions. That's due mainly to painting logistics. I promise I will cover the engine cowling, as that's a known tricky area on this build, but we'll do that in a future video. I'm also going to be covering steps 19 through 25 in the kit instructions, and these steps cover the assembly of the wings. I had several issues with the wing assemblies, and so I will go over my solutions to those. I also missed a couple things, and so I'll give you guys a heads up on items that I miss that you should not miss. Looking at step 9, the engine on this kit builds very quickly and very easily. I would suggest leaving the cowling support ring off until later in construction. I did a comprehensive video on how to paint radial engines, where I featured the engine that's in this kit. You can see the steps I took to detail out the engine. You can view that video by clicking the link above. In step 10, we're building the crankcase of the engine, and the only thing to watch out for here is that the parts that are used in this assembly are very tiny, and it's often very hard to clean up the sprue attachment points without losing these parts. In step 11, we're attaching the engine assembly to the forward firewall. This goes very easily. I didn't have any issues with this step. In step 12, we're beginning to build the air scoop that goes inside the lower cowling on the P-47, and this is continued in step 13. I would say take your time on these steps. You're definitely going to have to dry fit some parts and clean them up very thoroughly to get a good fit in this area. This is also a little bit of a tricky area to paint, so you want to do some research on what colors this should be painted. It differs with your color scheme. In step 14, we're attaching the rudder. We're also attaching the intercooler outlet flaps, and you can decide if you want those open or closed. As I said previously, we're going to skip steps 15 and 16 and 17. Currently, that's just for painting logistics reasons. In step 19, we are starting to build the wing assembly. This is an area where you really want to take your time. You want to clean up all of the parts very thoroughly, and you want to test fit things and see how things go together. I didn't have any issues with step 18 or 19. Step 19 actually continues on to the next page, and here we're mounting the wing guns. And the instructions also have you mounting landing gear strut, and that is part CD10. I would definitely hold off on mounting part CD10 until later on in the construction. There are no positive locators for this, and it's almost impossible to get the angle correct on this where it will line up properly with the open landing gear door. There's also a small insert that I overlooked, and it shows where to drill the holes for the pylons or the rocket launchers if you plan to use those. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up so you don't do it like I did. In step 21, we are continuing on with the wing assembly, and these inserts actually fit just fine into the wing. Once the top and bottom of the wing halves was joined together, I did not have any issues here. In steps 22 through 25 in the instructions, we are simply repeating the process on the starboard side wing. In step 23, I would once again recommend holding off on mounting part CD10 until later on in the construction phase where we're adding the landing gear doors. One area of the build that I have noticed previously that did not look right to me was the large gap that exists between the ailerons and the flaps on this kit. To me, this gap just looks far too big. So what I did was to take some thin plastic cardstock and I cut out small sections of that, and then I glued it to the inside of the flap after the wing was assembled. I let that dry thoroughly overnight, and then I went back and trimmed that up with a razor blade and a little bit of sanding, and now I am much happier with the fit of the flaps to the ailerons. One thing I noticed when I fit the wings of the kit to the fuselage was that the two spars that exit the wing seem to interfere with the fuselage, and so they keep the wing from joining without a gap. This is another area where your tolerance compounding kind of adds up. And I had to trim mine down a little bit, and I had to just spend a decent amount of time tweaking the fit in the wing to fuselage join. I had to tweak that quite a bit to get a nice filler-free seam. All right, guys, that concludes my current progress on this kit. I will be releasing more build logs as I progress on this kit. What I'm seeing so far, the detail is absolutely outstanding, but this is a very parts-heavy kit. If you don't like lots of small parts and lots of detail, and you're not patient enough to clean things up and really make sure you've got an excellent fit on things, I would say this is probably not the kit for you. The good news is that there are easier P-47D Thunderbolt kits out there from Tamiya and Hasegawa and Academy. And while I'm building this kit, I am concurrently building Hasegawa's P-47D and Academy's P-47N Thunderbolt. So stay tuned for build log updates on those kits as well. All right, I don't know if any of you out there have built one of MiniArt's P-47D Thunderbolt kits. If so, please feel free to comment in the comment section below. As always, I hope you found this video entertaining and informative, and until next time, model on.